So let's get started in that. What is Git, guys? Git is one of the tool which you can use to manage your piece of code. Basically, version control system. It's nothing but your version control system. So question is, why do we need any version control system? Not only Git, but let's say any version control system. Let's take a scenario. I am just a one developer who is working on one simple project. Is it mandatory, guys, for a single developer to use any code versioning system like Git or anything else? Can't I just take a manual backup? Basically, we work in some sort of directory and we add, remove, delete, and edit the files. Correct? Can't I just take a backup of the directory manually and keep it somewhere safe? Probably my external storage for a single developer to use a version control system. How about we do have multiple developers then? We have 2, 3, 4, 5 developers then. And everyone is collaborating or working on the similar project. Now, is it mandatory? It can create some issues. And what sort of issues you think it will create if we are not using any sort of version control system? Okay, because of conflict issues, someone can mess up your code, someone can overwrite your piece of code, correct? If multiple developers are working on this similar project, how they can even collaborate? I mean, even if they need to go ahead and even if they need to override piece of code from other developer, how they can access if you don't have any common place to keep a piece of code and to access it? Can they? If you have a team working on some certain project and they want to collaborate, even the first problem statement will become how they will collaborate. And even let's say somehow they manage to collaborate by working on their individual directories or something, right? Then they will face so many issues. For example, who modified what, keeping a track of changes, what piece of code has been added for what purpose. So what will happen if you remove it, right? And how to even manage the dependencies, correct? So all these things will become a very problematic in day-to-day life, and that's exactly why we need something for a collaboration, right? And answer to that is version control system. Okay, so basically this version control system, how this version control system even came to an existence. So there is a little story about it. The name was Linus Torvalds. Now that guy was a very big, you can say, a promoter of open source. He was continuously emphasizing no, technology should be accessible to everyone, it should be open source, everyone should be able to use it, right? And so many things. And one fine day what happened is he was demonstrating Linus kernel in an open conference. By then there was no open source system or tool available to keep track of your piece of code or any sort of version control system which was open source. By then it was not available. So that's why he was using one of the program which was proprietary. Proprietary means as a paid version. And the tool name was BitKeeper. It is also an older version control system. And while demonstrating, people noticed that this guy who is talking about open source so profoundly, he himself is using, vendor or let's say paid tool. And someone asked this question to him in an open conference. Okay, Linus, you are telling you are always consistently promoting open source, but you yourself do not use open source in a true sense. And when he asked, why do you feel that? Then that participant pointed it out. Look, you are using BitKeeper, which is not open source. This was kind of a slap for him. He took it personally. And that's exactly why he went ahead and he wrote down one simple program to keep a track of the piece of code which he was writing in his local system. Okay, and that's exactly, he named it as a Git. The literal, Git, it's kind of an Italian word which he opted, and the literal meaning of Git is idiot. I don't know what was his sentiment behind keeping this name, but yeah, this is what a literal meaning of Git. Now the point is, there is no full form of Git. It's just one word, Git. Okay, and that's how it came to an existence.